Welcome to the deep dive. Our mission is always the same. We take a massive stack of sources articles, expert research, even behind-the-scenes notes, and distill it all down, giving you the shortcut to being truly well-informed.
And today we are diving into a show that has become a global cultural touchstone. It's a pure spectacle of human potential that pits elite specialists against each other in a series of just brutal, surprising physical challenges.
We are, of course, talking about the phenomenon that began with the South Korean reality competition, Physical 100.
And is now expanded into the international arena with Physical Asia.
This franchise has captivated millions. I mean, the original series became the first international reality show to hit #1 on Netflix's global top 10. That's huge.
The success is just undeniable, and the source material we've gathered today, it covers everything. The show's format, the physics of the challenges, the controversies.
Oh, controversy.
Yes, and the elite sports science behind recovery. It all allows us to ask the ultimate question.
And that really is our core mission for this deep dive. The show brings together 100 individuals from the most specialized athletic backgrounds you can imagine. We're talking Olympians, national wrestlers, strongmen, elite military operators, bodybuilders.
A real cross-section of physical excellence.
Exactly. So if you put all 100 of them in a single arena, what specific combination of physical attributes, what specific ideal physique actually wins?
Is it brute strength? Is it the endless engine of endurance? Or is it, sheer cat-like agility? Or is the answer something far more multidisciplinary?
Okay, let's unpack this global sensation and see if we can identify the true winning formula, regardless of what sport you pursue. So let's start with the basics, the mechanics, for anyone who might have missed this incredible phenomenon. The premise is, on the surface, deceptively simple.
It is. You take 100 of the world's fittest people, and you have them compete in increasingly difficult quests of strength, speed, and endurance.
Until only one is left standing to claim the grand prize.
And that prize is substantial. For the original Korean version, it was impressive, but for Physical Asia, they really upped the ante. We're talking $1 billion.
Which, as of October 2025, translates to roughly, US $700,000?
Around that, yeah. But the real spectacle, and what all the sources point to, isn't the money. It's the roster.
What immediately jumped out from the research was just the sheer breathtaking diversity of the competitors. This is not a uniform field of athletes.
Not at all. These are people who have dedicated their entire lives to completely opposing physical philosophies.
Right.
You've got your MMA fighters, sure, but then you have Olympic skeleton racers like Yeon Sung-bin, who need this immense explosive power and core control.
And then revered national wrestlers like Jang Eun-sil, whose entire skill set is based on leverage and grappling.
Exactly. And mountain rescue rangers like Kim and Keel, who rely on endurance and specialized gear handling. And then you throw professional strongmen into the mix.
And it doesn't stop there. You have these outliers like choreographers, stunt people, firefighters, even tracers, professional free runners.
It's a true global melting pot of specialized physical prowess.
And that diversity is really the magnetic core of the show's appeal, isn't it? It forces this conversation about specialized versus generalized fitness.
It does. But what also struck me, and what the source material emphasized heavily, was the tonal difference, especially when you contrast it with similar Western reality competition formats.
Talk about that.
The difference is fundamental. The sources highlight this overwhelming, pervasive theme of mutual respect. It's almost wholesome competition.
Wholesome, that's a great word for it. Even when they're in these grueling one-on-one battles of strength and will, where the stakes are immediate elimination.
That underlying camaraderie is still there. You see competitors encouraging their rivals, celebrating good strategy no matter who wins, and offering congratulations even after a devastating loss.
It seems to deliberately reject that cynical, highly individualistic and often emotionally manipulative backstabbing that has become the hallmark of so many American and European reality shows.
It absolutely does. It positions the competition not as a moral battle, but as a pure test of physical limits. It's hard competition, hard respect, as you said.
And that sense of shared dedication to fitness, regardless of where they come from or what sport they practice, it makes the eliminations feel weighty but not malicious.
And that tone translates well because following the massive success of the Korean original, we saw the franchise seriously level up its scope with Physical Asia.
Right, the expansion.
This expansion just confirms that the show's format is globally scalable.
Yeah.
The shift from Physical 100, which mainly featured South Korean competitors, to the spin-off was a major move.
It broadened the pool to include 48 contestants representing 8 Asian countries.
And importantly, drawing transcontinental representation from Australia and Turkey.
Yeah.
So it effectively became a showcase of athleticism across half the globe.
And the sources confirm the creators see this as just the beginning. The show's creator, Jang Hogi, has already teased a planned future expansion.
Yeah, he mentioned ideas for country-by-country adaptations in places like the US and Italy.
And the possibility of reintroducing past fan-favorite contestants in future All-Star seasons.
So we are truly watching the birth of what could become a dominant global athletic competition franchise that sort of transcends the traditional Olympic models.
Okay, so to understand the weight of this competition, we have to look closely at the roster of specialists they gathered for Physical Asia.
Let's do it. Take Team Korea. It was led by Kim Dong-hyun, a pretty significant MMA fighter.
And it included Amotti, the CrossFitter who ultimately became the Season 2 winner, and the formidable national wrestler Jang Eun-sul, who was a returning fan favorite from Season 1.
Then you have the global heavyweights. Team Japan was captained by Yushin Okami, another legendary MMA fighter.
Team Australia brought in some serious specialized talent. Robert Whittaker, yet another elite MMA fighter.
And Eddie Williams, a professional strongman whose entire focus is maximum power output.
Plus Dom Tomato, the professional tracer, the parkour athlete. His specialty is all agility, balance, and quickness. It's a completely different skill set.
And you can't forget the initial entry for Team Philippines was the legendary boxer Manny Pacquiao.
Right, though he had to leave early due to political obligations back home and was replaced by a CrossFitter, Justin Hernandez.
It's just staggering to think about the different training methodologies contained within that single group.
It is an elite collection. But the most poignant detail, and one that absolutely highlights the authentic nature of that mutual respect, is the history between two of the team captains.
Ah, yes. Kim Dong-hyun of Korea and Yushin Okami of Japan.
I loved discovering this in the source material. These two men, competing as opposing national captains, were actually old sparring partners.
Their history runs deep. It just shows how interconnected the world of elite martial arts really is. One account details that Kim Dong-hyun moved to Japan in the mid-2000s and started training at Okami's MMA gym around 2005.
Wow.
And they frequently sparred for nearly an hour every single session, just helping each other improve. They were rivals in the sport, but deeply bonded by that shared suffering and dedication in training.
And the connection runs even further back, doesn't it? It involves other Physical 100 contestants.
It does. Chu Sung-hoon, the popular competitor known as Sexyama, was actually the one who helped Kim Dong-hyun settle in at that Japanese gym.
So you have this line of shared history across decades and disciplines, all converging on this one international reality show. It's incredible.
That historical detail just transforms the narrative. It's not a TV gimmick. It's a reflection of how true athletic rivalry is often built on years of intimate, shared struggle and respect, not manufactured animosity.
So this deep dive into the roster confirms that the show isn't just seeking spectacle, it's genuinely trying to see which athletic philosophy reigns supreme when specialties clash.
And that clash leads us directly to the question of fitness itself. What specific attributes are required when specialization must suddenly yield to generalization?
When you assemble 100 people who have each achieved peak performance in their chosen field, you inevitably force a scientific conversation about the very definition of peak athleticism. So what is the physical blueprint that sets the winner apart?
Well, from a sports science perspective, we break down physical fitness into roughly 10 primary components. It's a pretty comprehensive list.
Okay, what are they?
You've got cardiovascular endurance, muscular strength, muscular endurance, flexibility, body composition, power, speed, agility, balance, and coordination.
That's a lot to master. And the core tension of the show, as the sources articulate, is that different sports ruthlessly prioritize different components, often to the exclusion of others.
Precisely. If you are a marathon runner, your body is optimized for exceptional cardiovascular endurance, period.
Right. And if you're a power lifter, your entire training system is designed to maximize raw muscular strength, maybe sacrificing flexibility or high-endurance cardio along the way.
Exactly. And team sports, like soccer or rugby, they require a broad, balanced combination of many elements: speed, agility, endurance, coordination.
The genius of the Physical 100 format is that the quests are engineered to demand competency across nearly all 10 of those components.
And in unpredictable sequences. A specialist might dominate Quest 1, which could be pure strength, but then be instantly eliminated by Quest 2 if it's pure endurance.
Which brings us to the show's most compelling scientific conclusion, and it's evident in the outcomes of both seasons.
That function absolutely beats aesthetics.
Unpack that for us. What does function over aesthetics look like in practice on this show?
It means that the ultimate winners often do not have the most, let's say, aesthetically pleasing or traditionally shredded physique you'd associate with competitive bodybuilding.
They're not necessarily running around with single-digit body fat percentages.
No, which is often detrimental to overall power and endurance anyway. The emphasis here is on practical, real-world strength. Strength that can be sustained, adjusted, and applied across a variety of unpredictable scenarios.
So if you train for function, looking good becomes a side effect, not the primary and definitely not the limiting goal.
Exactly. And we saw this philosophy validated immediately by the results. Both seasons of physical. 100 were won by individuals with backgrounds rooted in CrossFit or highly generalized functional fitness.
Right. Season 1 winner Woo Jin Young was a former snowboarder and a CrossFitter.
And Season 2 winner, Amotti, was a dedicated CrossFitter. This isn't the coincidence. It's the show acting as a perfect testing ground for what you could call the CrossFit theory of victory.
So we have to analyze why the CrossFit model provides such a clear advantage in this kind of environment.
Well, the philosophy of CrossFit, as defined by its founder, is explicitly about preparing for the unknown and unknowable. This is achieved through functional training that involves constant variation, high-intensity movements, and this relentless mix of weightlifting, gymnastics, and cardio.
Which, as you just said, perfectly describes the structure of physical 100. The challenges demand you be a jack of all trades, mastering those 10 components.
Exactly. One day, you might be holding a massive 50-kilogram boulder in an isometric contraction. The next, you're running on an endless treadmill, testing your cardiovascular stamina.
And the following quest could involve climbing ropes or a grueling grappling match testing explosive power and muscular endurance.
A pure specialist, whether a marathon runner who lacks explosive power or a powerlifter who lacks high-endurance cardio, will inevitably encounter an elimination quest that targets their precise weakness.
A specialist hits a brick wall.
Right. The CrossFitter, who's been prepared for constant variation, might not excel in any single category, but they will survive them all.
And Season 2 winner, Amotti, was the ultimate example of this multidisciplinary approach. He was both a professional bodybuilder and a CrossFit athlete. He found a way to synthesize the two disciplines.
The sources detail his commitment to this blend. He worked out 3 times a day in preparation for the show.
3 times a day.
Yes. CrossFit in the morning, CrossFit again in the afternoon, and then a pure bodybuilding session at night. That level of dedication built a foundation of functional strength, endurance, and agility. A truly complete package that proved to be the winning formula.
But the show also offered another extremely powerful lesson that I think challenges the popular cultural notion that peak physical performance must end early in life.
You're talking about the power of experience.
The sheer, undeniable power of experience. It proved that age is truly but a number when dedication and wisdom are involved.
This was one of the most inspiring takeaways for me. We saw older athletes not just competing, they were genuinely excelling and reaching the top 20, often outlasting competitors half their age.
And it wasn't just about their physical capability, was it? It was about their mastery of pacing, of strategy, and understanding their own limitations and strengths.
The most famous example, of course, is Chu Sung-hoon, better known as Sexyama. He advanced deep into the competition, making the top 20 at the remarkable age of 48.
That is just incredible longevity at an elite level.
And we also saw other competitors over 40 reach the top 20, proving this wasn't an isolated incident. There was Jo Jin Hyung, the strongman and car dealer, who brought a veteran's insight to the raw power challenges.
Dustin Nippert, the experienced baseball player.
And Ma Sun-ho, the bodybuilder. Their success is a powerful rebuke to the idea that 30 is the peak, followed by this inevitable steep decline.
It's a phenomenal source of inspiration for everyone listening, I think. Consistency and activity over decades clearly build a resilience and a wisdom that raw young power simply cannot replicate.
They understood pacing, they knew when to push to the absolute limit, and crucially, they had the years of deep experience needed to master their own body's mechanics.
That decades-long commitment built a reserve of strength and, importantly, mental endurance that served them well in the grueling, often multi-hour challenges.
Their participation alone validates the idea that athleticism is a lifetime endeavor.
So we've identified the winning archetype, the adaptable, experienced generalist. Now, let's see how the show uses its quests to ruthlessly test and sometimes break these specialized physical gifts. The design of the quests is really where the show succeeds in destroying specialized athletes. Let's start with that immediate elimination challenge that sets the tone for the entire series.
The infamous one-on-one prequest.
The ball possession match in a muddy arena. It's a pure contact sports scenario.
And this quest immediately favored mass, explosive power, and crucially, grappling technique. The specialized strength of the wrestlers and the MMA fighters immediately shone through.
We saw these incredible displays of skill that prove technique can often neutralize brute force, particularly in, weight mismatched or gender mismatched bouts.
The perfect illustration of this was the match with the female national wrestler Jang Eun-sul. She went up against Kan Mi, a Special Forces soldier.
A person whose life relies on high-level combat capability.
And Jang Eun-sul's success was a masterclass in wrestling mechanics. She used tactical grappling and the defensive turtle maneuver, curling up to tuck the ball safely beneath her body and using her low center of gravity to just neutralize her opponent's attempts to pull her off.
The crowd was genuinely impressed by her ability to leverage her body weight to execute throws and slams. It proved that superior technique can absolutely overcome raw, unrefined strength.
And she showed calculated patience. She only made that explosive match-winning break for the ball when she was alerted to the final clock countdown.
But the triumph of technique had a stark counterpoint in the very same challenge. The absolute overwhelming dominance of raw, specialized force.
Yes. The match between the speed-oriented firefighter Hong Beam-sike and the massive strongest man champion, Jo Jin-hyung.
Hong Beam-sike's strategy was clear. Rely on speed and agility to grab the ball first, then play keep away, hoping to tire out the much heavier strongman.
That plan failed spectacularly. It was all because of Jo Jin-hyung's sheer mass and explosive power.
Hong Beam-sike later recounted that the strongman was so dominant that he felt he was flung to the side like I was a piece of paper.
Jo Jin-hyung won purely by weight class and brute force. It immediately challenged any assumption that agility or evasion would offer a definitive path to victory against a Goliath.
And this is exactly why the ball possession game, while it was thrilling, drew a lot of critique from fans and experts alike.
It's undeniably dangerous because of the uncontrolled contact, and it heavily favors athletes in the highest weight classes.
So it sparked calls for alternatives challenges focused on gymnastics, climbing, or body control. Things that might give different athletic archetypes a fairer shot at demonstrating their ideal physique components like balance and coordination.
It forces us to ask, in a show designed to find the ideal physique, should the contest be weight proportional? Or does the show deliberately embrace the chaos of an unequal contest for dramatic effect?
That's the essential tension of the show. And moving from those brutal one-on-one clashes, the show quickly escalates to these massive team events, where strategy and cooperation are paramount.
And these challenges perfectly illustrate the maxim: you are only as strong as your weakest link.
The team challenges, like the 1.5-ton boat challenge in the shipwreck quest, become less about individual power and more about strategic organization and psychological endurance.
The sources noted a remarkable detail there. Even the team comprising primarily non-traditional heavyweights, the ones you wouldn't expect to win a raw power event, were able to move that massive boat.
Oh.
Simply because they coordinated their effort and commitment perfectly. It showed that when 10 people apply their force collectively and strategically, they can achieve something physically impossible for any single athlete. It becomes a testament to community effort.
Physical. Asia upped the ante by introducing several new and creatively grueling team quests designed to test different attributes simultaneously.
Yes, let's focus on Quest 3, the team representative battle. It was designed as an athletic decathlon of sorts.
It featured 4 distinct individual events, forcing teams to strategically deploy their most specialized athletes.
The first was the sack toss. It demanded explosive, repetitive power. Players had to throw a 14-kilogram sack repeatedly over a 4-meter hurdle.
And the challenge had this escalating difficulty. The sack's weight increased, and the time limit shortened after every 10 laps. It demanded not just power, but also endurance and precise timing.
Then there was the hanging endurance challenge, just a cruel test of pure grip and core strength.
And this is where specialized performers truly shone.
The Mongolian circus performer, Lakagva Okir Erdin Okir, absolutely dominated here. It proved that specialized skill and focused training in grip and thigh strength can utterly trump generalized muscle mass.
So it highlighted a strategic blunder by some teams like South Korea and Japan.
Right. They initially believed this challenge favored lighter athletes. It actually required sustained isometric strength in the core and grip, which the circus performer had honed to perfection.
The most visually daunting event in Quest 3 was the stone totem endurance.
Hmm. This required two players to stand back-to-back, supporting two 135-kilogram stone statues resting on their shoulders.
That's 135 kilograms each statue, supported primarily by the legs, core, and neck.
It was a test of sheer muscular endurance and, again, technique. The advice circulating among the athletes, and noted in the sources, was strategic.
Well, what was it?
Do not interlock arms with your partner. Interlocking limits your mobility, and it increases the strain on the spine. Keeping separate allows for those minute, necessary weight shifts to relieve pressure.
And then Quest 5, the Castle Conquest, was designed for maximum historical drama and physical toll. It involved tugging a massive 2.2-ton cart over a sandy arena.
And forcing teams to overcome obstacles, like knocking down a castle gate and crossing a drawbridge. The complexity of this challenge demanded both brawn and brains.
So strategic analysis involved immediately dumping all loose, unnecessary items from the wagon to reduce weight.
And critically, using the immense momentum of the cart to break down the castle gate, rather than relying on pure shoulder power.
The sources also noted that the successful teams focused on clearing the sand away from the tracks as they advanced to give the wheels better leverage.
It reduces the drag coefficient significantly. Korea and Mongolia, the eventual finalists in physical. Asia completed the entire grueling challenge in a blistering half an hour. It was a phenomenal display of teamwork and sustained effort.
But the greatest challenge the show faces isn't a 2.2-ton cart. It's the persistent, high-profile controversies that have followed the final quests of both seasons.
Casting doubt on the fairness of the mechanism itself.
We absolutely have to address this persistent rigging debate head-on. Reality TV thrives on drama, but these accusations went right to the core principle of finding the ideal physique.
Starting with Season 1, there was that viral rumor, which was vehemently denied by the producers, that the final quest, a rope pulling competition, was filmed not once but 3 times.
3 times?
Yes. The suggestion was that the competition was stopped when runner-up Jung Hae-min was dominating and about to win, allowing the eventual winner, Woo Jin-young, to regroup. This led to accusations of manipulation to ensure a specific outcome.
And this rumor, despite official denials, it continues to circulate and fuel skepticism regarding the show's impartiality. It makes the audience question whether the producers prioritize narrative over pure athletic testing.
Then came the Season 2 finale. It pitted the eventual winner, Amotti, against the returning veteran, Physique, in the final pole quest.
A race to hold onto a metal pole and prevent the opponent from pulling it down.
Physique, who was seeking redemption from his early exit in Season 1, initially dominated Round 1. It suggested his technique and explosive power were superior.
But the strategic shift that followed was what ignited the controversy. Amotti was significantly heavier, about 11 kilograms, and taller than Physique.
And in the subsequent rounds, Amotti leveraged this mechanical advantage. He used his greater body weight and height to press the pole downward.
This move tipped the balance of forces, causing Physique to be forced upwards and lose control.
Viewers felt that this wasn't a pure test of strength, but an exploitation of the set design itself. They called it a scientific leverage display, arguing the result was predetermined by the laws of physics, favoring the heavier, taller contestant.
And this raises a crucial analytical point. Was it truly rigging, or was it smart strategy capitalizing on the inherent design flaws of a competition that mixes competitors with vast size differences?
Some analyses argue that Physique's tactical failure was not learning from the second match, where Amotti first used this leverage technique against him.
Unfortunately, this pattern was repeated perhaps even more intensely following the physical Asia finale.
The sources detail a wave of online backlash where fans grew increasingly suspicious of the outcomes. They accused the Korean organizers of intentionally rigging key eliminations,
Specifically targeting strong contenders from Japan, Mongolia, and Australia.
to ensure the host nation, South Korea, would win and keep the show firmly in the spotlight.
I read that viewers even compared slow-motion clips and meticulously analyzed judges' comments, growing deeply skeptical of the close call eliminations. One netizen reportedly lamented the point of making this show truly international if the organizers were just going to keep rigging it so Korea wins.
While the controversies are officially denied, they undeniably fueled massive debate and kept the show highly visible post-conclusion. More importantly, for our deep dive, they force us to confront the core analytical challenge.
Can any multidiscipline, mixed-gender, mixed-weight contest truly be called fair?
Or is the result always, to some extent, a product of the specific mechanical and physical constraints of the quest design?
That is the ultimate test of impartiality. But before we return to that provocative thought, we have to pivot from the arena itself to the secret weapon these elite athletes rely on, the science and dedication required for recovery. Amotti's victory in Season 2 wasn't just about outsmarting Hung Beam-suk with leverage. It was the ultimate climax of a deeply personal recovery journey. We need to look closely at his inspirational story and the profound mindset that fueled his success.
Amati's personal background is truly remarkable. It speaks volumes about the mental resilience required to compete at this level. Following a devastating car accident, he was given a prognosis that many would find crushing.
He was told he might never walk or work out again?
Exactly. And that diagnosis became his ultimate motivator. He transformed that trauma into determination, emphasizing that his successful physical and life recovery was rooted in developing a strong, patient, and intensely positive mindset.
His community was critical, especially his mother, who supported him during the long hospital stay and initial recovery.
He spoke about how his relationship with exercise fundamentally shifted. It stopped being just a goal, became a source of genuine joy and self-worth. His win on Physical 100 symbolized not just physical achievement, but the triumph of hard-earned determination over severe personal adversity.
And his dedication to preparation was extreme, reflecting his hybrid athletic philosophy. We mentioned his triple training sessions, CrossFit in the morning and afternoon, bodybuilding at night.
That level of volume is only possible with immense mental discipline. That blend of high-intensity functional movements with mass building proved ideal not just physically, but mentally.
Essay.
CrossFit explicitly trains mental endurance, diligence, and the ability to sustain effort despite suffering, which is absolutely essential for surviving the multi-hour psychological toll of the quests.
But his background in competitive bodybuilding introduces a fascinating and often scientifically rigorous discussion about the extreme demands of physique sports.
And the deliberate cycles of energy deprivation they impose on the body.
This brings us to a critical scientific concept. Competitive bodybuilders engage in prolonged periods of low energy availability, or LEA, to achieve that extreme leanness, the shredded look required for competition.
Right. LEA means their dietary energy intake is simply insufficient to meet the combined energy demands of maintaining basic physiological function and the high volume of training.
And what are the associated risks when this LEA is sustained or severe?
Those risks are collectively known as relative energy deficiency in sport, or REDs. Sustained LEA triggers serious physiological disruptions across multiple bodily systems.
We're talking about metabolic suppression, the body's slowing down its calorie burning rate.
Severe hormonal disturbances, particularly affecting reproductive and thyroid function, and just chronic, debilitating fatigue.
The sources reveal a stark truth about the mindset of physique athletes. Accepting symptoms like chronic fatigue or severe hormonal issues is often rationalized as a calculated trade-off necessary for competitive success.
We found one athlete noting that when they decide to compete in bodybuilding, they are intentionally making a departure from certain aspects of their long-term health.
This is why the post-competition phase is so challenging. The body, having been starved through prolonged LEA, is primed for rapid fat accretion once energy is restored.
So athletes often face rapid weight gain, severe body dissatisfaction, and acute anxiety as they transition back to a healthy metabolic state.
To manage this dangerous swing, many elite athletes turn to controlled strategic recovery methods like reverse dieting.
Reverse dieting is a critical professional strategy. Instead of immediately returning to estimated maintenance calories, which would shock the system, athletes implement a slow, controlled increase in calorie intake over weeks or months.
This deliberate, individualized recovery phase is crucial for gradually restoring hormonal balance, resetting the metabolism, and shifting the athlete back towards sustainable functional health goals rather than just aesthetics.
And given the extreme cumulative physical demands of the physical 100 arena, recovery science is paramount. This leads us to cryostimulation, a key recovery tool utilized by many elite athletes featured on the show.
Cryostimulation, so subjecting the body to very low temperatures to induce a physiological response that aids recovery.
The sources detail two main techniques: The first is whole-body cryotherapy, WBC, where the athlete enters the chamber, often regulated at temperatures around minus 110 degrees for short bursts.
Typically 3 minutes.
And the second is partial body cryotherapy, PBC, which can involve even colder temperatures, sometimes as low as minus 170 degrees C, achieved using liquid nitrogen vapor, where the head and shoulders remain outside the exposure zone.
The question is, does standing in what amounts to a high-tech freezer actually work after pulling a 2.2-ton cart?
The scientific findings offer nuanced answers. They differentiate between acute, so immediate, and chronic, long-term effects.
Okay.
For immediate recovery, studies show that WBC and PBC consistently result in a better and faster perceived recovery compared to passive rest.
Perceived recovery.
Yes. Athletes report significantly reduced pain, less tiredness, and a rapid increase in overall well-being.
That is fascinating. So even if the quantifiable biological markers of muscle damage, like the concentration of creatine phosphokinase, show similar recovery rates as those who rested passively, the psychological benefit is immediate and profound.
It grants a significant psychological edge. But the truly deep benefit comes in the chronic effects. Multiple, regular exposures combined with consistent resistance training.
And what are those specific chronic benefits?
Studies have shown positive results, including measurable increases in maximal average power output and increased isokinetic muscle strength over time.
And crucially, these benefits are connected to increased circulating levels of specific growth factors in the body.
Specifically, BDNF, which is brain-derived neurotrophic factor, and IGF-1, insulin-like growth factor 1.
Are these factors just increasing muscle mass?
Not necessarily. The science suggests that this training method is connected to better motor unit recruitment.
Which is the efficiency with which your nervous system activates and coordinates muscle fibers.
Exactly. It's about optimizing the neurological link to the muscle, making the existing muscle perform more powerfully and efficiently rather than just getting bigger. This holistic, dedicated recovery practice is what allows these athletes to endure the punishing schedule of a show like Physical 100.
It's clear that winning requires not just intense hybrid training, but a professional, scientifically guided approach to both pushing the body past its limits and bringing it safely back for the next brutal quest. Hashtag tac tac outro.
So we've taken the deep dive. We've analyzed the physics of leverage, the psychology of endurance, the international rivalries, and the physiological costs required to compete at this ultimate level. Let's consolidate the key takeaways for you, the learner.
First, the overarching lesson delivered consistently by the champions of both seasons is the absolute importance of multidisciplinary functional fitness.
The highly adaptable CrossFit model, which prepares the body for anything from a marathon to a grappling match, is the decisive winning strategy over hyper-specializing in raw strength or purely aesthetic leanness.
If you can combine explosive power with sustained endurance and technical agility, you possess the core winning combination.
Second, the show demonstrated the non-negotiable role of strategy and mental endurance in unpredictable competitions. The difference between victory and elimination often came down to tactical awareness.
Whether it was Jang Unsol's grappling technique, the collective organizational power required to move the 1.5-ton boat, or Amotti's ruthless exploitation of leverage in the final quest.
And mental resilience, exemplified by Amotti's recovery journey, proves that the brain is the ultimate muscle.
And finally, the necessity of focused, deliberate recovery. Whether it's the psychological flexibility needed to manage the extreme caloric deficits of physique training through careful reverse dieting,
or leveraging advanced science-backed techniques like cryostimulation to maximize perceived recovery and neurological efficiency through better motor unit recruitment. The journey back is as important as the journey up the mountain.
This entire phenomenon brings us back to the inherent tensions within the show itself. It tries to find the single, universal, ideal physique across all disciplines.
Yet inevitably, the design of the challenge dictates which discipline will triumph that day.
And that leads to a final provocative thought for you to consider as this international multi-event reality competition franchise continues to grow globally. Will show producers be forced, by mounting pressure for impartiality and fairness, to dramatically adjust their challenges?
Perhaps they'll move toward using weight-proportional contests for lifting events, ensuring that the heavyweights don't always dominate pure strength. Or maybe they will dedicate significant quests to testing skills like flexibility, dexterity, and body control challenges drawn from specialized fields like gymnastics and parkour.
Or will the irresistible commercial desire for high-stakes drama, spectacular set pieces, and those epic Goliath versus Goliath showdowns always push the limits back towards sheer brute power and crushing weight, ensuring that strength remains the easiest and most dominant currency in televised tests of human physicality? That balance between entertainment and impartial athletic testing is the ultimate challenge for the future of this new global sport.